Member from Vancouver, Fairview.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and it gives me pleasure to stand up and respond to the statements by the member for Vancouver Falls Creek about the tremendous contributions of the high-tech industry to BC's economy. And it also gives me some pleasure to note that even if it's the member from Falls Creek and not a cabinet minister standing up to note that there are in fact other industries in British Columbia that are contributing tremendously to BC's economy, it's important to see that noted. BC is home to 8 of Deloitte's Technology Fast 50 winners, as was announced very recently. These include companies like Hootsuite, Global Relay, Zafin, Avigilon, Appnovation, Richmond's Clevist, Burnaby's Photon Control, Burnaby's Clio. Yes, the tech industry now employs over 84,000 people, according to the most recent statistics, and these companies, these startups, are as likely to start up in northern BC and in the interior as they are on Vancouver Island or the Lower Mainland. Honourable Speaker, this is a good news story, but I was somewhat taken aback to not hear the member from Vancouver Falls Creek note some of the cautions that have recently been raised by the BC Technology Industry Association in their report card. I like to think of myself as a glass half full person, but in order to see the glass full to the brim, I think we need to take heed of some of the comments that were made by people in the sector. While the tech sector has been given an A by this report card in comparison with other BC industries, it only received a C+ versus the activities of other provinces and a poor C- on industry input indicators. BC's per capita employment is lower than other provinces in Canada with significant tech sectors and 30% behind the US in terms of the share of GDP. That, Honourable Speaker, shows that there is significant potential to be realized. And in order to realize that potential, I believe that we need to take heed of some of the recommendations of the Technology Industry Association as contained in the report card. We are not, Honourable Speaker, as a result of this government's policies in post-secondary, developing the needed skills and knowledge here in BC. We rank near the bottom on a per capita basis for the number of tech-related graduate degrees granted in BC, producing only half the number of engineers as the Canadian average. And we are significantly below the Canadian and OECD average in granting technology-related doctoral degrees. We have a lack of venture capital investment. Early stage venture capital is largely lacking or insufficient, and that's exactly what startup needs. We lack in research and development investment, and I'll come to this a little later, but our percentage of GDP has been constant since 2007, but remains 40% lower than Ontario and Quebec. We lag Ontario and Quebec in technology, goods, and manufacturing. We are, Honourable Speaker, a net importer. That's why the recommendations of the Industry Association are so important, and a government that focused on exclusively on one yet-to-be-established industry is doing our economy and the tech sector no favors. Honourable Speaker, the BCTIA called for government and support in the following 3 critical areas: revitalizing access to early-stage venture capital, and there is a recommendation in the recently released Finance Committee report that the government review the Small Business Venture Capital Program budget to promote greater venture capital investment in early-stage tech companies, and do this through a partnership with the federal government. We need to expand talent availability. We have fewer students enrolling in key areas including engineering, math, sciences, and marketing compared to other provinces in Canada. And we need to help the tech sector grow the size of firms so we have large-size anchor firms that will draw investment and more startups to British Columbia. As the Technology Industry Association said at the end of their report card, if we continue, and I quote, if we continue to improve in the key areas identified in this report, we can keep building the momentum BC Tech needs to realize its provincial successes and gains on the national and global scales. And if we do that, Honourable Speaker, if the government can do that, the glass will indeed be full.